Hello fellow Titan Quest fans! In this video I will explain how the upcoming early access will look like initially and also with later content updates. Stay tuned for all the important news. Path of Exile 2 and Diablo 4 can expect some serious competition. The early access of Titan Quest 2 will come out in mere weeks. So, what will the initial early access look like? We will get 10 hours of gameplay, which will be the first 2 chapters. For all the console players out there, the initial early access will be only for PC. First, we get a prologue, which is something like a tutorial. The story begins to unfold and we also get one mini-boss there, which will probably be the Griffin that many of us already saw in the leaked dev build videos. The second chapter will be the entire first act of the game. The final game will have 6 acts in total. This is a big change when looking back 18 years to Titan Quest 1, which came out with 3 acts that were followed by the final boss Typhon. Coming back to the first act of Titan Quest 2, the whole area will be called Flooded Farmlands. This area will be relatively big and handcrafted by the developers. They intend to give the players the feeling of an open world, with lots of area to explore. Jumping from cliff to cliff and climbing rocks and ladders will add some nice verticality, which is sure to add another layer to world design. We already saw some hidden areas which had some sort of reward, so the players are encouraged to uncover hidden paths. As explained in earlier videos, we get 3 masteries in the early access: Warfare, Storm and Earth. The level cap will be level 20, which is not that much for ARPGs. The level cap for the final game is yet to be decided, but it will probably be 60. With DLCs, the level cap will be expanded, like we saw in Titan Quest 1. The level cap for the initial game was 75. With later DLCs, the level cap got bumped up to 85. I expect a similar thing for Titan Quest 2. That, however, is far in the future, because we get at least 1 year of early access. Then, at some point in 2026, we get the final game of Titan Quest 2. This is a tough pill to swallow, considering that Titan Quest 2 was first announced in 2023. I really need the early access to come out soon and get my fix. The 3 masteries, Warfare, Storm and Earth, are old news, and the 4th one will follow relatively soon. What the 4th mastery will be is up for speculation. I assume it's going to be something that we didn't have in Titan Quest 1, because we already had the 3 known masteries in old Titan Quest. The final game of Titan Quest 2 will have 8 masteries in total. I'm looking forward to some fresh ideas. For the final game, we get the good old difficulty system, which means you complete the game, then you enter the next difficulty and play through the game again, starting with normal, then epic and legendary. For the early access, that will obviously not be possible, but we will get the opportunity to use so-called rituals to adjust the difficulty. This will be a good tool to have some maxed out early access builds and test them for their potential. If you increase the difficulty through rituals, the monsters will give off more XP and drop better loot. Now we got a good idea what the initial early access will be like. Players will get much more than that, because the early access will be regularly updated. With one of the first patches, we will get a 4th mastery. Throughout the minimum of 1 year early access, there will be 4 to 5 new acts to be implemented into the game. The remaining 7 to 8 masteries will come, as well as increased level cap of level 50 or 60. At some point there will be also a crafting system, which will be complementary items to enhance non-legendary gear. We will also get a co-op game mode and also new loot, quests and monster types. With these successive content updates throughout the early access, the game will be close to finished. There will also be other small updates for bug fixes and balancing. Keep in mind that we get at least 1 year of early access, probably it will be up to 2 years. The question is, will we be able to transfer characters from the early access to the finished game? I sure hope so. It would be bad news to have some level 60 characters that you grinded forever be lost when the final game comes out. The developers have not made a statement to that. I sure hope that a transfer will be possible. It shouldn't be too hard to pull off. Now we covered what the initial as well as the final early access will be like. What will it cost? One commenter asked me this and I estimated 25 to 30 euro or US dollars. Now that I know that we get almost the full game with the final content update, I assume that it will be a little more, but that is up for speculation. Watching the gameplay footage from various sources, I noticed that the crabs drop bows and staves. This is dumb, and it's news to me that big crabs carry that sort of thing around. Enemies should only drop the loot that they can carry. This was always a big plus for Titan Quest 1, because you could see that an enemy was carrying a legendary item, and some sort of animal never dropped weapons or gear. Several people that played the demo version of Titan Quest 2 have criticized that enemies don't react much to the player's attacks. By that I mean that a normal attack or low level ability doesn't affect the monsters visually, until they collapse when their hit points reach 0. I also didn't like how the freezing effect looked weak. Even the old Titan Quest pulled off a satisfying freeze effect, where you could smash the monsters into ice cubes. 18 years later, this should be possible and I hope the developers will work on that. Many Titan Quest fans love the ragdoll system, which was a big fun factor in the old game for me as well. We see a bit of that in footage, but only when monsters get attacked by a very strong ability. One new piece of information that was not so obvious to me until now: every character will get a dodging step, which makes it easier to evade big attacks from special monsters or bosses. Those strong abilities are indicated by a highlighted area. This gives you a brief moment before the enemy ability will hit. The player has ample time to use the dodge to step into safety, and all characters are able to do that. The early access is a good concept to gather feedback from the fans. I love that the developers want to listen to the hardcore fans of Titan Quest, such as myself, and give them what they want. For that, we need enough voices to ask for a specific change. For example, if 100 people all ask for better ragdolls, the developers will reconsider the current settings and eventually crank up the ragdoll physics. As a viewer commented, we will play the early access into the ground. I couldn't have said it better myself. I can't wait to play the game and make game mechanic videos, build guides and item videos. And now it's your turn. What is the thing that you absolutely want to have included in the early access? Like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.